Good evening, Cleveland and Columbus sports fans. This is Jen B, and you're tuned in live to the show of the land right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. So today we are going to talk about the Guardians as much as I can because the Guardians are not letting me sleep because they're playing on the West Coast this week. We're going to talk about the Browns, Week 1, game against the Bengals. We'll talk a little about the upcoming game that's coming Monday against the Steelers, some roster changes. We're going to talk a little bit about the Cavs, not much, but there is a roster change with the Cavs as well. We're going to talk about the Prospects Tournament in hockey. And we will also touch on some college football, some scores and updates, and what's coming up this weekend in college football. So stay with me while we get on into it with the Guardians first up. So the Guardians finished out a series against the Twins this week. Well, not this week, but since the last podcast last Tuesday. They finished the series 1-2. Not what we wanted to see, playing the Twins since they're who's ahead of us in the Central Division. Really needed to win those games, but it just didn't go our way. So we talked about Game 1 last week, so we'll start with Game 2. Game 2, Tanner Bybee got the start, and he had an okay start. He got 4 whole strikeouts, and the Guardians ended up losing 8-3. The positive in that game was that Bo Naylor hit a 2-run home run. But what the downfall of the game started with Straw running up to make a catch in center field. He misjudged the ball, dove forward, and the ball went past him and made it all the way to the wall before somebody got there to relay it in, and 2 runs scored, and then it was just downhill from there. Trevor Steffen was pitching at the time, and he ended up giving up a total of 5 runs in the 8th inning, bringing the score from 3-3 to 8-3, and that is where it stayed. So they lost. So then in Game 3, Gavin Williams got the start, and the Guardians ended up winning 2-0. And I asked Gavin very all nonchalantly on X to please not let us get swept. And he listened. Because we all know that they read our tweets, right? Anyway, in the bottom of the second, Will Brennan had an RBI single. Bottom of the third, there was a 1-hour rain delay, which was not great because the Guardians had to go to Anaheim that night to play the Angels the following day. So it kind of stunk that the game ended up getting delayed, so they had to wait even longer to get on the road with no time off in between games. So that stunk a little, but it is what it is. And then in the bottom of the fourth, Will Brennan had an RBI double, which brought the score to 2-0. Clase came in the ninth and got the save, and that was the final score, 2-0. So then the Guardians traveled over to Anaheim to play the Angels for 4 games, and they went 1-3 in that series. 1-3. The Angels are awful, but the Guardians were more awful. So Game 1, they lost 3-2. Cal Quantrill got the start. He went 6 innings and got 6 strikeouts. The only highlights of that game were Josh Naylor had an RBI single and Ramon Laureano had an RBI ground out. But they couldn't squeak out the win. They ended up losing 3-2. In game 2, they came back and they won one. They won 6-3. Josh Naylor had an RBI single in the 3rd. Bo Naylor had an RBI single in the 4th. Quan had a sacrifice fly RBI. And Josh had an RBI walk, both in the 6th inning. In the bottom of the 6th innings, Nick Sandlin gave up a 2-run home run. But fortunately, the Guardians were able to leave it at that and kept the lead and won that one 6-3. So then game 3, Lucas Giolito got the start and he went 7 innings, 8 strikeouts. Sounds pretty promising, right? Nope. They lost 6-2. Highlights in that game were Jose Ramirez and Josh Naylor both hit solo home runs. And those were the only runs the Guardians scored. So, it is what it is. Game 4, Tanner Bybee pitched, and he also went 7 innings and had 8 strikeouts. Again, promising. But they lost 2-1. But Cole Calhoun did get a solo home run in that one. So then they went from Anaheim up to San Francisco, and they are now in a series with the Giants. They had game 1 last night. And if I start yawning during the show, this is why. Because the game went into extra innings and didn't end until 2 in the morning. And I had to get up at 6. So I didn't get much sleep. So they ended up losing 5-4 in the bottom of the 10th inning. Gavin Williams got the start. Josh Naylor did have a 2-run home run in the game, but it just wasn't quite enough to squeak out the win. So they have coming up, they will play game 2 tonight and game 3 tomorrow with the Giants. Then they're off Thursday to come back home to play the Rangers from Friday to Sunday. And then on Monday, they will be in Kansas City playing the Royals from Monday to Wednesday. Some updates on the 2 starting pitchers who have been on IR. Bieber and McKenzie are both scheduled to pitch. I believe today, it might be tomorrow, or one might be pitching today and one tomorrow in Akron. And they are both on a pitch count, but they are up to about 50 pitches. So hopefully in the next few days, they will get that pitch count up a little bit and get back on the active roster so we can get our two starting pitchers back in the rotation. So we will see what happens with that. I don't know how much of a rush they're going to be in to get them there, because last I saw, actually I'm going to look it up right now because I forgot to look after the game last night because it was 2 in the morning and I was half asleep. AL Central standings. Let's see. How far back are they right now? They are 7.5 games back from the Twins. So I don't know. It doesn't seem very likely that they're going to dig out of that hole. So I don't know how much of a hurry they'll be in to get Bieber and McKenzie back. They may just have them, maybe come back last week of the season or so just to pitch a game. But no big rush since it doesn't look like we'll be going to the playoffs. But that is going to wrap things up on the Guardians. So I am going to take a short break and then I'll be back to talk about the Browns in the Week 1 game against the Bengals. On the Show of the Land with Jen B on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's up, everybody? This is Darren Rodriguez. Are you a fan of volleyball? Are you a fan of Thunderous Spikes? Then I have the show for you, Set Point, where I cover NCAA men's and women's volleyball, high school boys and girls volleyball, beach volleyball, and even professional volleyball. Catch the action every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
It's IE Sports Radio. It is your direct feed for all that is sports. It is Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris every Tuesday night right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris is the most comprehensive view on Philadelphia sports exclusively right here on IE Sports Radio. You know what it is, your direct feed for all that is sports. Tuesday night, IE Sports Radio, Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Davidson.
It's your boy, Dentarius Locke.
And we are the hosts of Fast Break here on IE Sports Radio, where we discuss everything in the world of basketball from prep to the pros.
You guys should definitely check us out, man. Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We got all the basketball information you guys need, so we look forward to you guys listening in.
And please do, because we are the best basketball show on this side of the Mississippi. And please do check us out on Twitter at FastBreakISR. D-Lock, where's our time again?
8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. That gives you guys plenty of time on a Sunday.
Tune in.
What's good, fight fans? It's your boy, Marcus Los Great, here to give you what you want, here to give you what you need. Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm coming to you live, straight from your mama's basement with a crispy, awesome white tea. They are coming to you live every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
You're back live with Jen B on the Show of the Land right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. So let's talk about the Browns. Before we get into the Week 1 game, some updates that happened during the week last week leading up to the game. Denzel Ward, who is in concussion protocol, returned to practice on Wednesday. He was still in the protocol, so he was limited in practice. Friday, he was cleared from the protocol and removed from the injury list, so he was able to play in Week 1. Juan Thornhill had a calf strain and was off to the side most of the week during practice and ended up being ruled out for the game. So that was a bummer, but turned out we didn't need him. So that's a plus. I did just see today that he is back at practice. So hopefully he will be a go for Week 2. But let's move on to the game. So the Browns played the Bengals on Sunday at 1, and they won 24-3. It was an interesting game. So all the forecasts that I heard and saw leading up to the game said it was, supposed to be a fairly clear day in the low 70s, upper 60s. Not bad for August or September. I guess it's September now, isn't it? September in Ohio. So that didn't end up happening. It ended up being a weird weather day. So there was like this weird mist. It wasn't exactly raining, but it also wasn't dry. And at times it got heavy. Kevin Stefanski was talking about it in his press conference, and he said he couldn't even describe it. He said there weren't even raindrops. It was like sheets of water just falling. And the wind was a little crazy on the field. So both quarterbacks struggled quite a bit. Joe Burrow more than Deshaun Watson. But it was a very, very weird weather day. And Stefanski also said in his press conference that the ball weighed 20 pounds because it was so drenched. So it was a very odd day that was unexpected because there wasn't supposed to be any rain. So, it is what it is. So you just roll with it, right? So Okoronkwo got the first sack of the game, and that was awesome. The Bengals started with the ball in the first quarter, and I believe they went 3 and out. It was a pretty slow starting game on both sides. Both offenses didn't look all together. Deshaun Watson seemed a little, not frazzled, but just a little off. But it also could have been partly due to the unexpected weather. His balls were not going where he intended them to go when he was making passes. So it did seem like a lot of that had to do with the weather more than him being inaccurate with his passes. The wind was blowing oddly. From what the on-field reporter said, it was swirling inside the stadium, and the ball was heavier than it normally is due to all the moisture. So he was pretty short on a couple of throws. A few There were a couple that he overthrew. There was one that hit the receiver right in the numbers, but he couldn't come down with it. So it was pretty sloppy offensively for both teams. Joe Burrow had like 82 passing yards on 30 attempts or something like that. It was ridiculous. But in the I believe it was the Browns' second drive. Unfortunately, I didn't write down when it happened. I just wrote down that it happened. So I believe it was the second drive. Jerome Ford fumbled, and I almost said Kansas City. Cincinnati recovered, but the defense held them, and it was all good. The defense was amazing. The offense, but the defense was amazing. Hopkins went 3 for 3 on field goals. He kicked a 42-yard field goal, a 34-yard field goal, and a 43-yard field goal. And so that was positive. You know, us Browns fans have a little PTSD on field goal kicking, so we're still cringing every time we saw the field goal kicker go out there. We were like, oh, God, no. But it worked out. Dustin Hopkins did well. He was 3 for 3 on field goals and 1 for 1 on extra points. So, yay! A kicker that can kick. Also, in the first quarter, Jack Conklin got hurt. It did not look good when it happened. He was on the ground holding his knee, obviously in an extreme amount of pain. They ended up having to bring out the cart to get him off the field. It turned out when they did the MRI that he has a torn MCL and torn ACL. So he will be having surgery, and he is out for the season. On a positive note, DeJuan Jones came in for him, and we did not hear his name called once. So that is always a positive. I also saw some film breakdown from Joe Thomas, Hall of Fame tackle Joe Thomas, saying that DeJuan Jones' technique was fantastic. So that was good to see. So he did a great job. Next week's going to be a real test going up against TJ Watt. So we'll see how he does against TJ Watt. But he is practicing against Zadarius Smith and Myles Garrett. So, you know, TJ Watt might not be that big of a deal for him. So we'll see. But it'll be a good test for him to see how he does against TJ Watt. Deshaun Watson had a touchdown run and a touchdown pass to Harrison Bryant. He also threw one interception. That interception was tipped and ended up right into the hands of the defender. So it was really hard to tell in game time, like when it actually happened, what happened. It looked like it was just a horrible throw, but when they showed the replay, you could see it was tipped, which changed the trajectory of the ball. And I believe it was intended for Elijah Moore, but the tip threw it off a little, and it went right into the Cincinnati defender's hands. But, you know, it is what it is. Like I said, the defense did great. They held Cincinnati to 3 points. So, you know, it's not often that you have 2 turnovers in a game and you win 24-3. So that's pretty phenomenal. On one of the touchdowns, the Browns did go for the 2-point conversion. It was the last touchdown, the one to Harrison Bryant, to make it a 21-point difference. And they were successful on the 2-point conversion. And of course they did it right after I had written down the final score. They decided to go for 2, so I had to scribble it out and change it. But Myles Garrett also ended up with a sack in the fourth quarter. There was a little over 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and that sack put the Bengals at 4th and 4 on the Browns' 30-yard line. I wrote down the 3-yard line. That's pretty funny. It was the 30, not the 3. But and they decided to go for it because, why not? There's 10 minutes left in the game and you're losing. At that point, they were losing 16-3. So they went for it. They did not get it. The Browns held them, and that resulted in the touchdown pass from Deshaun Watson to Harrison Bryant. And the following 2-point conversion to bring the score to 24-3. Larry in the chat says, good game, Browns. It was a good game. The offense was a little but, I know part of it was weather. Part of it was Jack Conklin getting hurt. Like I said, the weather was completely unexpected. It was supposed to be dry, so I have no idea where that rain came from. But it is what it is. Taryn in the chat says, great game, Browns. Thank you, guys. So, it was great to win the first game of the season, because if you know the Browns, they aren't great at winning the first game of the season. I think they've done it like maybe 3 times in the last 25 years or so. So, and winning the first game at home has been even more rare. So that was definitely great to see. Like I said, the defense looked amazing. They were all over the place, and you could it was like they had magnets in them, sucking them to the ball. You could just see them all going wherever the ball was. They had like 10 quarterback hits, 2 sacks, and I don't know what the final pressure numbers were, but they were pretty significant. In the latest power rankings, the Browns are rated 4th. So that is pretty significant. That's a pretty significant jump. Nick Chubb had a great game. He rushed for 106 yards on 18 carries, averaging 5.9 yards per carry. And he is actually up for FedEx Ground Player of the Week. So be sure to get in there and vote for Nick Chubb. Like I said, Conklin had the MCL and ACL tear. So today he was moved to the IR. In the corresponding roster move, Michael Dunn was assigned from the practice squad to the active roster. The Browns also released Lorenzo Burns from the practice squad and signed tackle Ty, and I have no idea how to say this last name, Nsekhe, to the practice squad, and also re-signed Tommy Togiai to the practice squad, defensive tackle. So, all in all, other than Nick Chubb, there's not a whole lot to say about the offense. Nick Chubb was Nick Chubb. Deshaun Watson did not look amazing. I mean, he did his thing. When the plays broke down, he ran, scrambled, whatever he had to do. He was sacked a few times, 3 or 4, which is not great, but that's what happens when you have a mobile quarterback. Unfortunately, it's bound to happen. But the receivers looked decent for the most part. Amari Cooper had a pretty decent catch. DPJ had a decent catch. Actually, Amari Cooper had more than one. Elijah Moore had a couple of good plays. Jerome Ford did get back in there after the fumble and didn't do horrible. He's no Nick Chubb, but he wasn't horrible. Harrison Bryant had the touchdown catch. David Njoku had a couple of catches throughout the game. So, all in all, they looked good. Oh, Akins also had a catch during the game. So the only person that I would have to give a thumbs down to is David Bell. He is the receiver where the ball hit him right in the numbers and he did not catch the ball. So, I mean, like I said, the weather was a problem, but I mean, it hits you right in the numbers. How do you not catch that? So, it is what it is. But, they got the win. So we're just going to go with it. We're 1-0 and currently number 1 in the division. So we will take it. It's week 1. So we'll see how long it lasts, but we're currently number 1 in the division. So, Pittsburgh lost, Baltimore won, but they did not play a division game. So, yeah. So we're in first, and Cincinnati's in last. So how you like them apples? Not exactly how people expected things to turn out this week. But, it is what it is. The Steelers also had a couple of injuries, and it has already been announced that Deontay Johnson and Cam Hayward will not play in Monday night's game against the Browns. So I guess that's a bit of a positive. I'd rather play the team at full strength, but, it is what it is. It's the NFL. People get hurt. So we will be down Jack Conklin, and they will be down Deontay Johnson and Cam Hayward. So that might make things a little bit easier on Jawan Jones, not having Cam Hayward there to help TJ Watt. So we will see. But I'm looking forward to the game. It is in Pittsburgh, so always a tough outing when you have to go to Pittsburgh. But given the way the Steelers played against the 49ers, and the way our defense played against the Bengals, I'm not all that worried about this game against the Steelers. We'll see how it goes, but, I would take Myles Garrett over Nick Bosa any day. So, and we don't just have Myles Garrett. So, that is another thing on the defense. Speaking of Myles Garrett and Zadarius Smith, Okoronkwo also, all three of them had the highest snap counts on the defense. So they've played a lot of 3 defensive ends and 1 DT with Dalvin Tomlinson. So that was interesting to see. They had Myles Garrett playing like an inside linebacker spot for a couple of plays, and the one, there's a video of it. If you haven't seen it, you should look it up. It looks like he's playing basketball waiting for the ball to be snapped while he's standing there taunting Joe Burrow, waiting for the snap so he can rush the quarterback, and that would be the play where he got the sack. So it was very interesting to see the different lineups. I did not see them playing 2 actual defensive tackles very often. They did quite a few safety blitzes. Grant Delpit was all over the place in that game. MJ Emerson was amazing. He shut down Jamar Chase. Denzel Ward made a couple of great plays, though you always cringe when you see Denzel Ward making a tackle because, he leads with his head when he makes tackles, and the last thing he needs is another concussion. But he played well. The linebackers played well. Everybody was just all over the place. Like, they did allow a couple of bigger plays a couple of times, but didn't matter. They ended up stopping them. The Bengals, I think, only had like 5 first downs the entire game. So it was a great showing by the defense. So I'm looking forward to next week. I did check the weather in Pittsburgh, and as of right now, it's supposed to be dry in the 60s and 70s. So I'm not sure about, game time, what the temperature is going to be, but it's supposed to be like in the low 70s during the day and the low 60s at night. So it'll be somewhere in between there at game time. So, and it is supposed to be dry. So we'll see if that actually pans out because it was supposed to be dry on Sunday, but it was not. So hopefully the weather will be somewhat more bearable than it was Sunday, and we can really see what the offense can do, and they can get their sea legs under them and make some noise on the offensive side of the ball, because let me tell you, the defense made plenty of noise. They did not get any turnovers, but man, were they on the quarterback like crazy. So looking forward to the next game, and then after the Steelers, I believe we play the Titans, and then the Ravens, and then it's the bye week. So, and then we play San Francisco. So that, I think that's going to be the first real true test. The Ravens and the Steelers, of course, are always difficult, but I am very interested to see how the Browns match up against the 49ers. But that is about all I have on the Browns. So far, there hasn't been a whole lot of news, which is good. So we'll see how things go on Monday. And hopefully, next Tuesday, I'll be talking about the 2-0 Browns. But I am going to take a short break, and then I will be back to talk Cavs, Blue Jackets, and college football on the Show of the Land with Jen B on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's good, everyone? It's Drewski, the host of Heart of Texas Sports on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. On this station, we cover everything in the Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas area. From where we cover the Dallas Cowboys, the Dallas Stars, Dallas Mavericks, Dallas Wings, Texas Rangers, TCU, SMU, we cover it all right here every Wednesdays from 9 to 10 p.m. Central Time. Make sure you stay live with me on the Heart of Texas Sports on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Welcome to the 305, aka the Magic City, and this is Magic City Scoreboard. I'm your host, JB, and right here we're going to talk anything Miami. Miami Dolphins, Miami Heat, Miami Hurricanes, Marlins, Panthers, Inter Miami, and even high school football. So join me once a week right here on Magic City Scoreboard on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed to all that is sports.
Hockey fans, I'm Adam Kernick.
And I'm Zach Puplis.
Together, we are the newest version of Hockey Talk on IE Sports Radio, The Neutral Zone.
Zone.
We love hockey, but we also know it's not everyone's first sport. So we want to make this show as much for new fans as for the diehards.
Whether you can name all the Swedes on the 08 Red Wings Stanley Cup team, or if you can't tell if Varlamov is a goalie or the latest trendy vodka, we're here to help. With facts, figures, and outrageous fans, we bring you all the hard-hitting hockey news you can handle, while still keeping it fun and on the rails. Well, mostly.
So tune in every week as we go around the hockey world, from college to Canada, the minors and the majors, and everywhere in between.
So bring your cellies.
And your one-timers.
You wicked wristas.
And be sure to protect your five-hole.
Catch the Neutral Zone every week on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
We promise not to pick on the Arizona Coyotes every episode.
You're back with live with Jen B on the Show of the Land right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about the Blue Jackets and the Cavs and some college football. I'm going to apologize because I didn't do some of the research that I normally do for the podcast because I had a funeral this past weekend, so my time was a little tight, but I'm going to cover as much as I can. So for the Blue Jackets, we have the Prospects Tournament coming up in Traverse City, Michigan, starting this Thursday. It will include the Blue Jackets, Toronto, Detroit, and Dallas. The Blue Jackets will play Toronto on Thursday, and then they will play Detroit on Saturday and Dallas on Sunday. The team will be coached by the Cleveland Monsters head coach, Trent Vogelhuber. And the team will include first-round pick Adam Fantilli, 2022 first-round picks David Jurisic, and Denton Matichuk. Will also include Corson Kulemans, Luca Pinelli, Tyler Peddle, Luca Delbel, Belouz, Jordan Dumas, Stanislav Svozil, James Malatesta, Martin Rysavi, Samuel Nazco, Mikhail, I have no idea how to say this, Piatia, maybe? I apologize to all these guys if I'm saying their names wrong. And Dmitry Voronkov. It will also include entry-level contract players Hunter McCowan, Cameron Butler, and Nolan Lalonde. So the younger guys will get some playing time, and they will play in 3 games over the next few days. And the Cleveland Monsters head coach will get some hockey or NHL coaching experience, so that would be nice for him. I'm going to try and see if they're on TV and if I can watch at all. I'm not sure. I tried to look it up and I couldn't find anything, but maybe now that it's a little bit closer, maybe I'll be able to find something showing whether or not it's on TV. The hockey stuff is usually on the same channel that the Guardians and the Cavs are on, so with it still being baseball season, I'm not sure if it will be televised, but if I could find it, I'm going to try and watch at least Saturdays, maybe Sundays too, since the Browns aren't playing on Sunday. I don't know if I'll be able to find Thursday's game at all. The Guardians are off on Thursday, so maybe it will be on the channel that the Guardians are normally on, but we'll see. But that, I believe, is it. Let me double check. I think that's all I had on the Blue Jackets. Yes. Yes, that is all on the Blue Jackets. And real quick, before I get into college football, I'm going to hit on the Cavs because there's only one thing with the Cavs. They had one roster spot open, and they, this week, actually just today, finalized the deal. Re-signed center Tristan Thompson from the championship Cavs team. So I honestly didn't even realize he was still playing. So he is back with the Cavs and will fill one of those bench roles as a backup center, which is good because we really didn't have a solid backup for Jared Allen other than moving Evan Mobley over, and then there wasn't really a solid backup for Evan Mobley. So so that will help. Hopefully Tristan Thompson can still play pretty well. We'll see. But he is back with the Cavs, at least for one season. So, yay. Welcome back, Tristan. So now let's move on back to college football. So Ohio State played Youngstown State on Saturday. And they ended up winning 35-7. Kyle McCord got the start at quarterback, and it was either today or yesterday, Ryan Day actually named him QB1, so he will be getting all of the starts. But he did start the first 2 games anyway, but Devin Brown also played in both games. So he didn't play much last week, but he did play almost an entire quarter this week. He played one full drive in the second quarter, and then he came in the fourth quarter once the score was pretty out of hand and Youngstown State wasn't coming back. McCord had a 31-yard touchdown pass to Marvin Harrison, and then he had a 39-yard touchdown pass to Marvin Harrison. And then Travion Henderson had a touchdown run. McCord had another touchdown pass to Igbuka. And Henderson had another touchdown run in the third quarter. Devin Brown came back in at quarterback in the fourth quarter, finished out the game. They didn't score anymore. Youngstown actually scored on their first drive of the game and did not score again. Like I said, I had a funeral this weekend, and I actually got home just in time to see Youngstown score that touchdown to tie the game at 7-7. It was funny because I was driving home and I was looking at the time. I was like, okay, I should make it in time to see the game, or at least most of it. I'll only miss a couple minutes in the first quarter. As I'm getting out of the car, I have a notification that Ohio State's up 7-0. And I looked at the clock and it was like 12:03. The game started at 12. I was like, what do you mean they're winning 7-0? So I have no idea what happened to score that touchdown. I mean, it was a pass from McCord to Harrison. I know that much because I saw it. I saw the highlight, but I don't know how it came to be because like I said, I was driving, so I did not see it. But yeah, in 3 minutes they were winning 7-0, and then I got in the house, got situated, got the TV on, and Youngstown scored, and it was 7-7, and I was like, well, this doesn't look promising. But then that was it from Youngstown State. They didn't do anything else the rest of the game. So, they will be playing this Saturday at Western Kentucky University. And then Baldwin Wallace played Wilmington and won 61-25. And they will be playing John Carroll on Saturday. Ashland played number 1 Ferris State and ended up losing 38-28. Akron played Morgan State and won 24-21. And Kent State played Arkansas and lost 28-6. So that is about all I have on college football because, like I said, I didn't get to look into the schedules as much as I normally do to see who's playing who when in the next games. But Mount Union will be back at it this weekend. I can't recall who they're playing, but I can look it up real quick. But they will be back at it. Most of the teams that were off this week, well, all the teams that were off this week will be back at it. Hold on. I actually probably have them in my notes from last week. So let's see here. 999999. Okay. So Heidelberg will be playing Ohio Northern on Saturday. Mount Union will be playing Marietta. John Carroll will be playing BW. 9:16, and that's it. That is all I have for the college football. But like I said, Kyle McCord was named the QB1 for Ohio State, so he should play most, if not all, of the remaining games, barring injury or something crazy, a complete meltdown or downfall. But he looked much better against Youngstown State than he did the week before against Indiana. So he seems to be getting control. So much like Watson. So McCord's getting the hang of things. So I think he will do better from here on out. The offense looked much better against Youngstown State. I mean, of course, they're not the caliber of team that Indiana is, but the offense did look much better. The defense obviously held Youngstown State to 1 touchdown, and that was early in the first quarter. So we will see how that plays out. I am going to try and watch the Mount Union game. I did figure out how to watch the games since they aren't on TV. I found the website and I figured out how to put it on my TV so that I can actually watch it not on my phone. So I'm going to try and watch that one if it doesn't interfere with the Ohio State game, of course. Because the Ohio State game I will definitely be watching. And I might try and catch the BW John Carroll game. I'll have to check the times on those and see. But yeah, that's about it. Oh, we also have the Crew playing Saturday. So, man, another busy Saturday for me. I'm going to try and watch as many of the college games as I can. I'm going to try and figure out if I can watch the Blue Jackets game, and I'm going to see if the Crew game is a free watch, because if it's not a free watch, I won't be able to watch it. But I will see if it's a free watch, and I will try and watch that as well. And I believe the Guardians also play on Saturday. So I need to get like 5 more DVRs so that I can watch everything. But yeah, so we will have next week, we will talk more Guardians, of course. We'll talk Browns Pittsburgh. We will talk upcoming Browns Titans. We will talk Columbus Blue Jackets, how the tournament went. And, of course, college football. And we'll talk Crew as well. So that is going to wrap things up for today. Thank you for joining me, Jen B, tonight on the Show of the Land. Be sure to follow me on X, Instagram, and Threads at BelieveLandGirl, on TikTok at Jen.BelieveLand, and follow the show on X at Show of the Land IE for all your updates. I tweet most updates on the show account, so be sure to check that out. Next up, the Buffalo Huddle with Patty Bax, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Be sure to catch me next Tuesday at 6 p.m. on the Eastern Time on the Show of the Land for more on Cleveland and Columbus sports on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Have a great night, Ohio.
What?